Okay, good evening. Welcome to the Shaftsbury School District meeting. And it is 6:31. And I guess we'll start right off with the presentation of third grade biographies. And who's up? Yes.
I'm Sarah Case. I teach third grade. And just about monthly, we have book reports that the children are assigned with a genre and then a choice of projects. And our most recent one was a biography. And they got to pick the person that they read about. And then the assignment was to present about the person using a visual aid, either a PowerPoint presentation, a timeline like this one here, or, and this one has a timeline, or a collage project. And they also had to dress up like the person they were. And there was some leeway. You could dress up as the person's wife or the person's child, or maybe if they were an author, one of their characters. So we have some children here who would like to share their projects with you. So first up is Will, Madison, and you want to go ahead? You have to talk to them. Here, stand up. Not flip.
Tom was born on August 3rd, 1977 in San Mateo, California. He played football and baseball in high school.
So I'm going to have you turn to them. Tell them, who did you do your project on?
Tom Brady,
Tom Brady. And why did you pick him?
because I like the Patriots.
And then you chose to do a PowerPoint, a Google slide.
Yeah.
Give me click next one.
Growing up, Tom's favorite team was the 49ers and his favorite player was Joe Montana.
And what was the most interesting thing you learned about him?
In high school, he could have been straight. He could have been drafted from high school to professional baseball
Why didn't you choose to do that?
because he wanted to play football.
Do you want to do one more slide?
More.
Or you want me to just click through so they can see it? So, one of the interesting things about this project is they did this on their own. We had done Google slide presentations in the classroom with help from us. But because we had the Chromebooks, the children were able to learn how to do this, learn how to put text on, learn how to add pictures, do transitions. And then for this report, they did it all on their own. And really impressive. How did the project go?
Good.
Some good football pictures. Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, I like you have a glossary. Look at that. I thought on the text feature. His teacher taught him that. So that is his project. So the next project we have, I'm going to have Aubrey. Will you share yours next so I can get the next PowerPoint going? You want to come up? You can sit down. All right, so we're going to talk to them and tell them who you are and what you learned.
I did Elizabeth Blackwell, and I was the first woman doctor in the United States. She was born in England, and when she was 11, she moved from England to New York, and
And why did you pick her? I'm sorry, sorry if I'm asking a question. Remember why? No. What was unusual about her being a woman doctor at this time?
there were no one doctors in the United States.
And how about your project? What did you choose to do? Timeline. And was it easy to find dates?
Sort of, because the book had kind of a lot of stuff in it, and the dates were mentioned a lot.
Okay. And are you glad you picked her now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I always ask the kids, would you want to be this person's friend?
Yeah.
Yeah, why?
Because, well, I didn't think like she never gave up, no matter how much people were yelling at her and telling her just give up already.
It's an important quality. You did a good job. Thank you. So our next one, we have another PowerPoint, and Colin, come on up. Did Louis Armstrong. Hi, do you want me to click through the report, or do you want to just tell them a couple interesting things? Click through it. Okay, so first tell them who you are,
Louis Armstrong,
and who are you in real life?
Colin Joyce,
And why did you pick Louis Armstrong?
because he plays cornet.
And why would that be good for you? Are you a musician? Yeah. Okay, so I'll click through the project. What was the most interesting thing you learned about him?
That he had a heart attack.
He had a heart attack.
Yes.
Did you have music playing at yours? No. Some of the kids found video footage of their person and had that playing.
Well, I do have video.
You do? Is it embedded in it?
Yeah.
This one?
That's
the video?
Yeah, that's it.
Here's one of our late records we like to play for you now, folks. And it's a beautiful number called What a Wonderful World.
It is loud. I'll pause it. But so, really cool. They were able to embed video into their presentations, which was nice. So thank you very much. So we have one more. We have Abraham Lincoln. Come on up, Abe.
Would have never guessed.
And he's unmistakable. And who are you in real life?
Holden,
Holden. And you picked Abraham Lincoln. What was the most interesting thing you learned about him?
That he was, he used to be a lawyer,
He was a lawyer. And then what did he end up doing?
becoming the president.
He was the president. And can you tell me about your outfit? What's this? Why do you have this big hat on?
Because he wore it,
You wore it. And what are these?
his beard.
His beard. And did you enjoy doing the project?
Mm-hmm.
And he has a two-sided timeline and collage. So they did a really good job, really impressed, and they did wonderful. So thank you for letting us share this.
Okay. We're going to go right into citizens' comments. Do I have any citizens?
Yeah.
Hi, Mike Foley. I had a question about Catherine Zimianic this year. I've gotten a note from the superintendent. In one instance, she's called an Act One trainer. In another one, in our this year's yearbook, she's a guidance counselor. And also I've gotten some out where she's a community outreach coordinator. What's her license actually in? And why is her name changed 3 times this year? Or that maybe there is no change, maybe just calling her different things at different times.
I think that's it. They call it different things at different times. I don't believe, and I could be wrong, so I mean, I wasn't expecting this question, but I don't know if she has to have a license. I don't
The Act
believe,
One
but-
trainer is not a full-time position, that's part of her responsibilities as the homeschool liaison,
Okay,
or school council.
liaison.
Yep, that's her official title.
okay, homeschool.
So as a guidance counselor, she wouldn't need a license.
She would.
She needs a license to be a guidance counselor.
She's the homeschool liaison, and she is also the school's Act One trainer, which is part of that responsibility.
So the yearbook is wrong, she's not a guidance counselor.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kate.
Hi, I'm Kate Abbott. I'm your Early Education Director for the SVSU. And I just came tonight to highlight some of the work being done across the district to make sure that you're aware of some of the excellent practices happening in your school. Over the course of this year, we've been working on the preschool to kindergarten transition process, and we've had a work group working on figuring out the best way to have children transition into kindergarten. The kindergarten transition is the first time that parents really get to know their home school, and we know from the research that parent involvement in a child's education is the number one factor to support positive growth and achievement. So all those gains that children make in pre-K can be sustained when we have that strong parent involvement. And that pre-K to kindergarten transition is the first time that really starts to be fostered in the home school. So I just wanted to highlight some of the work that Shaftsbury has done this year. Shaftsbury and Jeff were key components on the kindergarten transition team. They had an excellent transition to kindergarten this year, and we've had great response and feedback from parents of pre-K students who have experienced the process this year and getting to know their teachers in their school. So I just really wanted to thank Jeff for his leadership on the committee, and also the work being done was highlighted at the kindergarten conference put on by the state as a best practice. So thanks so much for your leadership and work on that, and thank you Shaftsbury for really focusing on attention to detail and high quality standards for your kids.
Thanks, Kate. Anyone else? I'm sorry, Barry?
Barry Mayor. Just want to make a kind of a pitch here. Group of concerned citizens or interested citizens have been meeting unofficially, and we've been approached by North Bennington. And I just want to lay out that there seems to be, or it was at least, a sense that North Bennington wasn't interested in any kind of an alliance with Shaftsbury, but that's not the case. They're very eager to get into discussions with us about some kind of a consolidation or merger.
Right.
I don't know, what the right venue is to discuss that, but our group is interested in anybody who wants to offer any kinds of opinions, advice, strategy. We have some ideas, but we're open to new ones, and we meet irregularly, and anybody who wants to join in can reach me. I can give you my cell phone number. And,
Barry, where are you meeting? Here at the school?
No.
Oh, okay, all right, I thought you said, but that's
No,
fine.
no. I can give you my email address. If you want to write it down, I'll give it to you now, or you can stop me later. It's F as in Frank, L-Y-H, the number 2, and a lowercase letter O at Comcast.net. And we're kind of in early stages now, but it looks like North Bennington is very eager to get something going here. And I think with Act 46 looming in the shadows, so to speak,
Right.
we don't have a lot of time to waste.
Right. Okay. Anybody else? Yes.
Hi, I'm Noreen Gardner. I, under the impression, or from what I've heard, the policy, sexual, whatever that policy was that was in question at the last meeting has been reviewed. I'm wondering if there are any revisions that were made to that policy, how we would find out what they were from the policy committee. Is that possible?
Holly's on that committee, and Ed also.
Shaftsbury.
Yeah.
Yeah, we met Monday, and they did not, they just changed the, where to report things.
The
Within-
what?
Where to report things.
Where?
Yes.
Okay.
I haven't.
The agency that's listed in the policy is no
It's no
longer,
longer there.
so they updated it to
With a new
reflect the
telephone.
current names.
Okay.
With a new telephone number.
Who would it be possible to attend the meetings? I mean, I did connect with you, Fran, and never heard back from you about when that meeting was. I do have a concern about the way some of the words that are used in that
Yeah.
policy,
They are gonna-
especially
the-
investigating.
The plan is to rewrite the entire policy, but to modify it quickly to
Okay.
reflect the correct agency in it.
Okay,
And the policy committee meets, is it the first Monday or second Monday?
There's not
It's
another
the
meeting.
ne-
No, I know there's not another one until.
Is the Monday after Labor Day is the
Labor
next
Day,
meeting.
yeah.
so the next meeting is the Monday after
After
Labor Day.
Labor Day.
Is there a time scheduled at the committee
4 o'clock
meets?
at the
Central
SU
office.
office.
And those are public meetings, by
Yeah,
the
so
way,
you're
too,
welcome
so-
to attend.
Anybody
So,
can
so
go.
they will take input from the public,
They begin
or-
their meeting with public comment, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Gentleman in the back?
Len Matunis. After watching the school's reaction to and follow-up of the incident from January, I've decided to withdraw my child from Shaftsbury Elementary. I think it has been a failure in leadership to take any concrete action on how to handle these types of complaints. It's a shame that when students or parents have real concerns and issues like these, the response is so poor. It's a bigger shame that you get to keep your jobs after screwing it up so bad.
Sir, I'm going to interject here for a second.
I'm all done, thank you very much.
Okay, but if you would, if you could give us that in writing instead of, okay, then that way there, it's just, I think it's more respectful to, instead of,
More respectful to who?
well, everybody,
I'll take it
even if it was you or,
Have a nice night.
or, thank you. There you go. Okay, anyone else?
Yeah, my wife, Bree Delarocca, would like to email the letter to the board members, but I just want to give it handed out and make sure it gets into the record as well concerning that matter.
Make sure you say your name, Jared.
Jared Delarocca. And it's regarding the incident as well as the perception of non-transparency regarding both this issue and the CO2 levels. I know it looks like it's on the agenda for later, but I just want to find out now the timeline of when that report was first received about the CO2 levels in the school. From the date of the email, it appears that it was before the next board meeting, next public board meeting, and it wasn't discussed until a non-televised, meeting that was purportedly for other business, and then was kind of shoehorned into other business. So why wasn't that brought up at the original meeting?
All right, we will, let's talk about that in number 3.
Okay.
At the air ventilation system, then we can ask all our questions. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alrighty. Anyone else before we go on?
I have comments about the air ventilation system, so I think I'll just
Oh,
hold on
okay,
until we
thank
get
you.
to that point.
Yeah, all right. Okay,
I just wanted to
Mike?
add, with that policy committee meeting, I was at it. I don't know if the two members would comment on when the superintendent just said it will be completely overhauled. I didn't get the perception that there's some failure in language as it stands right now, and if there was, it wasn't brought up. In fact, the only thing that was changed was the phone number, and to make it more, to incentivize mandated reporters even more so. In fact, they changed the language from investigator, judge and jury to investigator, judge, or jury, to make sure that no one thought to do any of them. And that is on the record, and that's been filmed. I would leave it open to the board to respond to that, but that's the perception I got.
okay. Larry?
Fran, I was also at that meeting. I have to agree with Mike that there was no indication that there was going to be a major overhaul of that policy. The new policy that was suggested that was not aired at that meeting, although the committee that was assigned to write it had it prepared, but it wasn't entered in. It won't be until September. But there's no major revisions in that. If anything, the language has changed very, very little, but indicates a strong alignment with the law. And I think that's what we have to keep in mind, is there's a law in place that this policy has to embrace. And that hasn't changed. By the way, I'm Larry Johnson from Shaftsbury.
Okay.
Okay. I served on the board for 6 years until Ed defeated me in the last election. And my wife is also the assistant principal at Molly Stark, just for transparency.
Are you supposed to be addressing me, or
No,
You're looking directly at me. So.
I do that when people talk?
Mike?
Yeah, I can't stay, and so I'm gonna address this one issue which you say you're gonna talk about later. It seems that the way the board dealt with the CO2 issue was completely inappropriate. And I wish I could stay around, but like I said, guests at home and I have to leave. To speak about that issue and in an unwarned, or in a part of the meeting that was not warned as for other business is inappropriate. And then to ask the recorder not to record it breaks the open meeting law, which is part of Vermont's traditions, and that's quite upsetting. That's quite upsetting. So that's my 2 cents for it. Thank you.
Just for your information, Mike, it wasn't any board member that, you know, I don't want the people to perceive the board as trying to hide anything. It was meant, in fact, I have an email here, which I'll wait until we get to that part, but I just want to make sure that people don't realize this board is never going to try to hide anything. And in safety for our kids, obviously, isn't the first thing. So I just, not that that makes you feel any better, but I get what you're saying. I get where you're coming from. So,
Just
yes.
one more thing. At the last meeting that I attended, you apologized for the board for the behavior that was inappropriate to the Foley family. And
Yeah.
I didn't know if there was a vote for that or if you feel comfortable speaking for the board. Did the board vote to do that, or was that your own idea?
That was basically my own idea.
Okay, thank you.
I felt I should do something. I've had other conversations with Mr. Foley, and I'm trying to put a situation that went on for a little while, and maybe some of it was my own fault. So that's why I did what I did. Okay,
Fran?
Jared?
Just one further question. How long is it for the policy committee? If the policy committee were to vote on a new policy at that Labor Day meeting, approximately how long between a vote on a policy and when it gets through all the...
Long time. Go ahead.
It has to go through all boards, warned first, then adopted, so, and if any one board questions a piece or sends it back, it goes back. So typically, it could take 6 months by the time.
So the policy committee's on a approximately 3-month vacation, and then we're talking another 6 months
They
before
meet
it could
monthly,
be...
could be shorter, it's unpredictable how quickly it gets through all the other boards.
Okay. Thank you.
And there's 2 meetings in that cycle. There's a warning, and then there's an adoption, or maybe there won't be an adoption. Maybe it'll be a 3rd meeting for any certain board. So, but Holly or Ed could answer to that. So, if any.
A properly warned policy should take 2 months. Warn, adopt.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. All right, and go ahead. You got something?
I just wanted to, he might have gone, but the statement that was put out on behalf of us, I hope that the next statement that goes out has our board consensus and agreement. As you know, I called every one of us.
Mm-hmm.
Because it may or may not, we needed to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I did. I called everyone to ask if I missed an emergency meeting.
Mm-hmm.
In the future, I hope that doesn't happen again.
Well, I felt as board chair, it's my position I'm not willing to destroy the reputation of the Shaftsbury School. I thought it was pertinent that I put some kind of a statement out. Now, while I was doing that letter, I made sure that it got sent to every single board member. The only board member I heard from was you, Holly, and rightfully so, that's fine. And you did ask me that you missed a meeting. I said no, I took responsibility, and I felt it should be known that I polled the board in executive session, and that told me it shouldn't have been a problem. But next time, I will call a special meeting, and we will deal with it. Okay?
We had a statement sent out on our behalf at
Mm-hmm.
12. The banner had it printed at 3:55. I saw it
Mhm.
at 4:30 and
Yep.
made phone calls. We have a board clerk,
Mm-hmm.
and I would like, the next time we need to make a statement, that we as a board, I have no disagreement that we needed to put out a statement.
Yeah.
But in the future, I would like it to come
And
from
I
my
just-
voice.
I just
Or
said that.
our voices.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, okay. Anyone else out in the audience? Yes, Mrs. Foley.
Hi, my name is Lullaby Foley. I'm the wife of Mike Foley, and I'm just going to read a letter to make it formal that me and my husband are informing everyone our intent of removing our son, Lorenzo, and our daughter, Liara, from Shaftsbury Elementary School effective immediately because of an ineffective school board that is unwilling to hold an incompetent administration accountable, a superintendent who places more importance on protecting jobs over the safety of our children, and an ongoing lack of transparency that the taxpayers and parents of Shaftsbury should expect and deserve. We no longer feel that our children are safe in the school, and I'm sorry. And here's
Yeah, to
a
the-
copy of the letter if you want it.
Yep,
Thank you.
okay. Mike?
Yep, and just to clarify, the reason we live in this town was to come to this school. So we really feel disappointed that now we've got to go out, not only being taxpayers and pay for people's salaries, and on top of that, now we're going to be paying just to make sure that we feel comfortable. And we're not trying to raise, you know, we're not hysterical, but with the way things have been going for 6 months, and frankly, Fran, you're the least trustworthy person up there to me. So when you
Okay.
spoke to me for 6 months,
Yep.
that was, I can't believe what you've come up with as a result of all those conversations. A lack of any action at all was done. And that was after you've promised over and over of some action.
I did.
So to say
Okay.
that, oh no, we're looking out for that, that I find laughable. But in lieu of making sure it doesn't come off as us, we just don't feel 100% safe that our children's welfare is 100% the top of the list, which is why we wanted them here in the first place. So I just wanted to clarify, it's not that we're hysterical, it's not that we're, I just don't 100% feel, and that's why that statement had to be made.
I would again like to say that I am 100% confident in the safety of my children attending this school, my child and my grandchildren. I have no doubt when I drop my son off or that my daughter drops her grandchildren off that they're safe, that I believe wholeheartedly that the teachers, the administrative staff, from top to bottom are looking out for their best interest. Again, I've worked in different schools. I have grandchildren that attend different schools. This is the best school in this district, and it has a wonderful administration. There's a small group of people that are not happy here. There is a large group of people and parents and grandparents that are. And I'm standing representing those people.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on, and we're gonna move on to the superintendent. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey, yes.
Sorry.
My name is Chris Rowe.
Yeah.
And I've actually been a part of the school system for several years. My family has been part of the school system for decades now. And as a new Shaftsbury resident this year, I just bought some land. I'd like to also say that I've worked also being an employee of Shaftsbury for the past 2 years. This has been one of the best places I've ever worked. I feel very confident in the administration, be it that I've only been there for 2 years. I'm very confident in Jeff as a leader and a principal of the school, and I hope to someday have my children come to the school as well, because I am very confident in the way the school is being run.
Thank you. Okay. Now we'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Just want to report that, as you know, the SVSU Act 46 Study Committee voted to add community members that match the number of members on the board. So, for example, you have one member on the board, you would get one community member. We asked through public announcements in the newspaper, on our website, we posted the application and a cover letter asking for applicants who are interested in serving at the committee. I sit here tonight to tell you that the central office has received no applications to date from a Shaftsbury resident. So we have until July 12th. I mean, well, they actually could join anytime, but July 12th is the first meeting of the expanded SVSU Act 46 Study Committee. So if there is somebody from Shaftsbury who thinks they want to serve, they should go onto the SVSU website and fill out the application and send it in to us, and then we'll get it to the committee to approve. So still looking for a member for that. We meet with the consultant on that date, July 12th. It'll probably be a lengthy meeting that day, and then we'll set up a meeting schedule that would be convenient for everybody there. But it will be 1 year of, I imagine, fairly intense work, maybe at some points twice monthly meetings, because there is a deadline looming that we have to have a plan in place. We anticipate, that if this committee moves forward, they would have to bring some type of vote forward for what they do or do not want to do with Act 46 to consolidate that. And for that, those who don't know, though I think we do, that is the Consolidation Act that enjoys some support and also has a lot in disagreement with. But one of the deadlines that we have looming, that is if we sit back and do nothing, we run the risk of the state coming down and forcing us to consolidate, maybe with partners that we don't want to. So if there's someone interested, please fill out an application and send it in to us.
Jim, on that, Larry, could you, I was talking with Larry earlier, and he has some concerns, but could you just address those, Larry, please?
Jim, could you expound a little bit? There's a lot of conversations about Act 46 around the state, obviously. And in the middle of those conversations is the implication that when you expand the board to include citizens, that the boards have no right to do that. That can be interpreted as an illegal act because you're reassigning your authority that you were given by the citizens of the town to non-elected officials.
Well, this is an advisory committee, and an expansion was a recommendation of the Vermont School Board Association, the Vermont Superintendents Association, and the Agents of Education. So your argument about whether that's illegal, you probably should take it up with them. I'm following the directive that I received from those agencies. So the other part of that is it's an advisory committee. It has no authority by itself. That's how I understand it. They will go back and make recommendations to their own individual boards, and those individual boards, which are duly elected, are the boards that will make that decision. So it's advisory in nature, and that's my understanding why you could have
That could be where the confusion is, Jim, that if I understand it right, this next board can write the articles of agreement that bind the district schools to a particular process, and therein becomes the bind. That the school board is then taken out of the conversation. So you have assigned your authority to this larger board.
I don't believe that anybody has assigned any authority. This board may draft an article of an article of consolidation, or whatever the right term is for that. But again, that all goes back to boards, and it all has to be voted on by ballot by the public. So it's that advisory committee has no authority in its own.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to,
Yeah.
because I had talked to him, but go ahead.
So again, if somebody's interested, by all means, let us know. And I know everybody knows it, but the last day of school is Friday. Are you disappointed? And and why I mention it again is because, the calendar originally slated it to be on Monday, the 13th. Staff will be reporting on Monday the 13th, but all boards did agree to make the last, it made no sense to bring students back for one day. And luckily, we didn't use any snow days, which I don't know the last time I ever saw that happen. So that'll be probably one of the earliest that we're going out of school. So I hope everybody has a nice, enjoyable, safe, long summer. And the rest, I imagine I'll be discussing under number 3.
Okay, all right. Holly, on the consent, next is the financial, I'll do that first, is a treasurer's report for May.
Are you gonna do minutes too? Minutes are not on there.
Minutes should be in the consent agenda, but the only minutes are here May 11th. I have May 20th.
I have both.
I have both also.
Yeah, but, so we'll only be doing the 11th, because that's the only ones that's in there. So,
Well, no, I think we should do them both.
well, we can, but it's not on the consent agenda, that's my point.
We could amend the
It's-
consent agenda to
Okay.
include the April one.
All right, then we'll do the 25th meetings also,
As long as Jeff notes that we're amending that, so Richard knows.
yes.
So you're doing all the consent agenda now?
Well, what we're gonna do, you wanted to do the budget transfer with,
The facilities
The
discussion.
facilities
in
thing?
there.
so let's do this, right now, let's just take the treasurer's report.
All right.
I need a motion for that. Jeff's the motion.
Oh,
Ed?
I'll second.
All right. Is there any questions, changes, or anything?
No.
Okay, all in favor of the treasurer's report? Unanimous? Okay. Now we'll get consent agenda, and that is May 11th. And Jeff, you wrote in to amend to include the 25th meetings? Minute meetings? Okay, Holly, again, what did you have? Because with the budget transfer and in the consent agenda, what exactly, because you wanted to talk,
Those were gonna be put down with the other, right?
yeah,
I figured we would
Now's
be
the time to-
discussing it.
yeah. Okay,
So we're putting it down with the D? Or are you pulling D up to,
well, actually, the consent agenda,
Budget
you-
transfer request.
well,
is
she wants to talk about the
I wanted to.
math teacher position, correct?
I thought, but it was clarified, Jeff clarified that it was just something should have been
Yeah, I didn't know if I would get a nom form in time
Yeah,
for this
yeah.
meeting, so that's why
And that's why we took that
I took it
off.
off my report.
It's, the way it read,
Okay,
it
my
said
principal's report.
math position and custodian update.
Yeah.
So I
Right,
thought maybe you
right.
had,
Yeah.
Okay,
no,
so good, so we'll just do the consent
So
agenda
it's
the way it
now in
was.
the nomination of the consent agenda.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
so why don't you tell us what you're wanting us to vote
Well, I
on?
need a motion first,
Okay,
okay? Holly, you making a motion?
Sure.
Okay, and
What are we making a motion on?
on the
discuss
consent
the
agenda.
consent agenda.
Then we'll
Okay,
have
yep,
discussion.
Okay.
Okay?
Second it.
All right, good. Okay. Discussion, Holly, go right ahead. We're
why
gonna
don't
talk
we put
about,
it piece by piece then?
we're gonna talk about the May 11th meeting.
Okay,
We can talk about the 25th.
okay.
You've got the warrants.
Does anybody else have any questions? It's,
I don't, but go ahead.
well, before we,
And we have field trips too, but we've already,
that was already passed,
Right.
correct? Let's see. On the math nomination form, I'm curious as to why the control code is missing, to be determined. I've asked that before,
It's a
and
new position, so once you
Yeah.
authorize position, then they'll assign a code to it.
but because I asked the last time, I asked Mr. McTurnan. And to be, the control code is that everything checks out. So that's an ongoing concern. It's
It
all
won't be
there.
once you authorize the position, then finance office will,
Mhm.
finance office assigns the control code, not HR.
That's their check for everything.
Correct. So we make sure there's no phantom employees.
Yeah?
Anything on the minutes? For warrants?
The May 25th minutes?
Yep.
Um,
Oh, wait a minute. I got a,
May 25th.
Yes,
Mhm.
that was the meeting about the roof vents. And.
Do we have those minutes yet? We don't have it.
Here.
Or do you?
Right there.
Okay.
I'm gonna read where did I put it? I have an email I got from Mr. Durfee today. All of a sudden I can't find it. Oh, here it is. On the minutes of the 25th, and I just got this email today from Mr. Durfee. I'll read it. And for the record, I would vote to amend the minutes of the May 25th meeting to include a mention of the email correspondence that referenced the CO2 measurements. Given the sensitivity of this as a safety issue, I think it was a mistake not to have challenged Jim Secor's suggestion to exclude that from the minutes, though I understand he was well-intentioned. And that's why I said at the beginning, I said, we're not trying to hide anything here, but, so.
Did you want to speak before me? Because I don't have to do all the talking.
No, go ahead, go ahead. I'll speak in.
I just on the part, it said, where it says Kidney called the meeting to order at 6, noting that agenda will include a discussion about the roof. We took away the paving bid, as we can agree, but there was not ventilation on this warned meeting. And also from, there should have been no other, so from other down, it needs to be, we need to correct it. Correct our actions.
As far as, what do you mean?
All that other,
Yeah,
there was no other.
right.
We had a warned meeting with bid and paving.
We discussed it, so you have to record what we discussed.
Yeah, you do. And this actually does have something to do with the roof, but we took no action on that. In fact, I'm the one that asked for an estimate, because that's something we're gonna have to take care of. And I think we have other people that wanna ask some questions to that, so. But go ahead, Jeff, I interrupted you.
I was gonna say I had to direct do with the roof project because that's what started the ventilation conversation was the roof project itself.
Ed, you got any?
No, I concluded that it was part of the roof because
Yeah.
they all work together.
There was an alternate bid.
Even though it was not a bid, but it was part of things.
But there was an alternate bid to take the roof vents out. So that was part of the roof bid.
That's correct, that was the $1,000. Okay.
But the roof vents out and putting a ventilation system in are two different matters.
No, we're taking the roof vents out, Holly, and what's happened, why we talked about that part, is what's happened, you're tightening up this building. So, last year, Jay Coonrad done the windows on the left side of the, I'll call it the left side, I don't know if east or west, it doesn't matter. It's on the other side of the building. Once we do these windows, and we're gonna have the roof done with the insulation, it's gonna get even tighter. So now after he's basically telling us, Mr. Secor's telling us, well, we're gonna have to be looking at a ventilation system other than what we have, because the other one isn't gonna work anyway. And plus it was noisy and
And
everything
it doesn't
else.
have makeup air, it doesn't take
Yeah.
in outside air, it just exhausts air.
I understand what you're saying, Holly, but
Well, the part of the the something being removed, the roofers would cap off that. That was the end of it.
But if you take out
Right.
the ventilation system, you
Gotta
don't
replace
improve
it.
the quality of air. You got to replace it. So it should be
So-
part of the
Yeah.
discussion.
So, we don't need to have a vote to put a directive in place to put
You will have to take a
Well,
vote.
once we get estimates, and
Estimates.
I wanted, he estimated like $30,000. Well, I don't believe that. It could be 40, 50,000. I don't know that. So we'd asked him to go back and look at that system and let us at least have an idea of exactly what we're looking at. And that's all we did. We didn't say, that should, I don't see where that would have to be a separate item, other than it's in the minutes, so we do know, listen, we gotta do something with the, we're taking out those 4 vents, or whatever, how many, I think there's 6, but this one, the cost estimate of 4 HRVs, 30,000. Well, I don't bank on that, it could be more, but that's why we asked for an estimate.
So am I incorrect in thinking that we, as a board, in open public, maybe
Yeah.
it's going to be talked about in the air ventilation system?
It's going to be, yeah,
Okay.
and I have some other people here in
Okay.
the audience, yeah.
Okay, then
Yeah.
I'll,
Okay, all right. Anything else?
Jared.
Oh,
I
I'm
just have a
sorry.
question on that,
Jared?
because the minutes for that was never included in the board packet, so in the packet that you guys have consent agenda,
Yeah.
I assume the discussion is recap. Will the email that was sent by Jim Secord have been included in that
Yes,
recap of the board documents?
that's what Dave asked for that part to be included within.
Okay, so when these are uploaded at
Amended.
some point, they'll be
They should be
accessible as well.
amended, yes.
Do you want copies of the 25th meetings also?
Yeah,
Minutes?
that's the
Okay.
one that was on the website.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Fran,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
just, I'm not trying to, I want to go back to the math position real quick,
Yeah.
just so the board's aware. It took us quite a while to find the right person to match here at Shaftsbury, but we did find somebody very qualified and gonna do a nice job for us, if the board so chooses. But it is roughly $4,500 above what we budgeted for that position. So I wanted to make sure the board was aware of that.
so this number does not include the family plan insurance, or if she has, or he?
I can't speak to the plan that this person chose. I just got a call from HR when they went through this, and they.
Is it all included in this number? or-
Yes,
Okay,
yeah, everything
okay.
that person chose is included.
Thanks.
From my understanding, so, but she did say, make your board aware, make sure everybody's aware that it is a little over what we budgeted for
How
that
much
position.
more? Again?
4,500.
4,500.
Roughly, that's a really rough estimate, they said.
And I didn't see for your information, so was this in the consent agenda? These sheets that we get?
No, those are usually at the end of your packet.
Okay,
And you'll usually have the student numbers, which is there, and you'll have the expenditures report.
But it's not there, so should I ask my question now, since it was?
I guess you might as well, yeah.
Okay. I was
Well, it's
just.
not in the consent, that's not the consent agenda.
Right, that
Okay,
is.
then I'll ask it
So we
in
do that
other?
at the end, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Jim, are you all set?
Yeah, I'm all set.
Okay, all righty. Any other questions on the consent agenda? Hearing none, all in favor of the consent agenda?
No.
Abstention or no?
No.
No, okay. All right,
Did Jeff get the vote?
Yes.
yeah. Okay, all right, next policies, there isn't any. We're on D, facilities.
I was trying to catch up with you.
Yep, go ahead. Take your time.
So so the work that Jim Secord did and MSK did for the roof bid, to get the roof bid project going, came to the transfer amount that I'm looking at, that you're looking at here, the $22,854.97. That's all his work he's done. I'm asking that the board take that money from the capital reserve, so we don't take it from our general capital fund, because it is group project money, it wasn't money that we should be spending on the general budget. So I'm asking for, the additional $2,854.97 to be transferred into our general fund
Okay.
from the capital reserve.
Okay, you need a motion and something
Yes.
on that. All right, so
Just so I'm clear, and what was this to do?
This is all the work that Jim Secord and MSK did to get the work.
For the roof?
project,
The design work.
the design work, the
Not
bid
moving-
project, or the bid proposal and all that.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so,
So move.
all right, I'll second it. All in favor of that motion? Okay, unanimous? Okay. Go ahead. You all set?
The, next is the budget transfer.
Budget transfer request. Okay. Let's see, transfer to capital projects, it's per voter approval, please authorize the transfer of $76,000 from the general fund to the capital projects account. That's the monies that we put in the town report for, being for fiscal year 16-17, that we asked the taxpayers to approve for our capital projects.
And that 67 is for what?
76.
76 is for roof?
That's, well, it's roof, paving, and it goes in that.
The things we already.
Right,
Okay.
right, it goes in that account. And that's the only reason we're doing that, so.
Did you get a motion on approval?
I need the motion.
So moved.
Ed,
I'll second it.
Jeff, and any other questions?
Hold
Hearing-
it.
Yep.
But that doesn't hook to this, right? We
No,
haven't got.
that's next.
No,
Okay,
that's
thank you.
different. Okay. All right, all in favor of that motion? Okay, unanimous? Thank you. Okay. All right, now we've got, per the request of administration, the following budget transfer requires board approval to cover overspent accounts and anticipated deficits. You want me to read all those? The total is $24,035.
So if you look at this account, you'll see, like, let's use the first one on there, salary sub, instruction, long-term substitute, and FICA. So that adds up the exact dollar amount you see in the credit, which is $13,800. And that $13,800 is coming, the next line tells you where that's coming from, the health insurance instruction account. You have an excess in that, so that the transfer comes from there to pay those three accounts, and you can follow that list down. Wherever you see the credit, that's the total of the previous lines.
I understand that.
Okay. So I need a motion for that one. Ed,
So moved.
second.
Is that sure?
Okay. Any other questions on that? All in favor of that? Go ahead.
Budget transfers, as you know, has been, we have not had a budget discussion.
We've had that discussion before, and we will.
We have not had a
we will talk
budget.
about
Okay,
it. Yeah.
go ahead.
Okay. All in favor of that motion? Okay?
No.
Okay, no. All right. Next, the air ventilation system. You want to take it, or you want me to?
Want me to start with the timeline that Jared asked
Sure.
for?
Yeah, yeah.
So the conversation started back in early April when Jay and Jim Secord started their roof project and they started looking at the roof. One of the things that came up with our old ventilation shafts vents that we have at the top of the roof, obviously. And they discussed whether we wanted to keep them or not keep them with the new roof coming in. The discussion was had by Jim and Jay, so if we get rid of them, we go straight across with the roof, less holes, possibilities make sense. Jay mentioned, even in the April meeting, there was a discussion between Jay, myself, and Fran, how the new old ventilation system was loud, wasn't really efficient. Maybe you want to look into that as it is, since we're doing the roof as it was. Jim Secord then at that time said, why don't we put some air quality, check some air quality at this time to see what you got anyway, see what your system's doing. They said, okay, so we put those two,
Efficiency Vermont.
Efficiency Vermont came, gave us two CO2 detectors, one in the third grade classroom down here and one in the fifth grade classroom at the very end. That was roughly, I think, 3 weeks it was put in there. The report came to me and Jim Secord on the 28th of April, I believe. That's when I got the email with the report. The Efficiency Vermont gentleman said that it was definitely an area we need to look at. He didn't say there was a health concern. He didn't say that there was any danger whatsoever. Jim Secord said, okay, I will review it with the school and we'll move forward from there. We didn't review it until we came to that meeting on the 25th when we let the board know if we're going to look at this ventilation system, getting rid of the old one. This is what the new one's showing. This is what the CO2 is showing. This is what a new ventilation system might cost before we decide to look into getting a possible new ventilation system at that time.
May I respond or ask? Okay, so you got the email, by the time, I don't know how the dates in front of me, but as I had looked originally, it was before the next publicly warned.
Yes.
Before the roofing meeting. What information were you waiting for that or what is your decision not to bring it up at the next broadest meeting, televised meeting?
I wanted to have a conversation with Jim Secord because he said he wanted to have a conversation. We hadn't had a chance to do that at that time. And like I said, the gentleman from Efficiency Vermont didn't show any concerns and share any concerns about having the CO2 at the levels that it was. He said, yes, they're high at times. Definitely you want to look at it with your board.
And was the intent then to then, after you looked at it at the board, discuss it at this following meeting, or was the intent to have that discussion at that meeting and then?
Which meeting are we talking?
Excuse me, have the discussion at the
25th meeting?
Thank you, the 25th meeting.
That was going to come up because when we did the roof bid, we had the bid for just doing the roof with the vents, and we had an alternate bid of doing it without the vents. So there was two parts to that bid, so that conversation was going to happen when we talked about whether we were going to get rid of the vents, because we were the vents. Here's the reason why, because our CO2 is a problem, and we're going to have to put a new system in. If we get rid of those vents, we can't have no system.
And then were you anticipating bringing it up a second time at the televised meeting, or was that the intent that that would be the discussion about it and then it would be?
I think you're still waiting to get the estimates
Yeah.
from.
Yeah, we don't have anything back from
Right.
Secor yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yes,
And we do have a ventilation consultant coming tomorrow morning to come and look at our whole system and everything, give us some feedback from them.
Can I just get a sense from the board and then from Jeff that you understand where the concern that there's the appearance of non-transparency. Obviously, it doesn't seem like you were intending to hold it for a later meeting, but it can come across that way that it was brought up at a non-televised meeting, that's obviously it was about the roofing anyway, but it wasn't in the agenda. The packets were included. It gives that appearance, and I'd like to just hear from the board that you're aware that this perception may exist and be aware of that so that in the future you go that extra step to make sure that, hey, are we doing everything? Obviously, we're doing everything by the book, but then we're making sure to go beyond that so that there is no appearance of such a thing.
Can I answer that, Jeff?
Yeah.
Please. What we've done in the very near future, all boards are going to be following a certain, if you want to call it protocol. I don't like that word, but I'll use it. That's what I'm thinking of right now. And like minutes. And we've talked with Richard Bump about this. In order to meet a 5-day deadline for posting minutes, he'll send out a draft within 24 to 48 hours. So people can look at those minutes. We're looking at, just like if we have executive sessions, because anybody that's watched any of the meetings, we're under scrutiny. I get that, and I want transparency because that's why I push for the open teacher negotiations, open ESB negotiations, because people ought to know what's being put on the table. They ought to know what in heck they're paying for. But this will get a lot better, and yeah, I've screwed up too. So I'm not discounting myself at all, but it'll be a heck of a lot better, and all boards are going to follow a certain way of how we're going to run the meetings, and it'll be better for our minutes, and it'll be better for public comments. And it's like tonight with that gentleman. I'd rather have, if they got a complaint, something like that, give it to us in writing, and we can respond after the fact. But I don't want to turn these meetings into hollering sessions or anything like that. I just don't. I don't think, I wouldn't do it to a teacher. I don't want anybody to do it to board members, members of the public, anything like that. I don't think it's right at all. So anyway.
I don't want to speak for him, but I think the purpose is when you hand something in, people who are watching on TV will never see that. So I think the intent was, but going back to the protocol, who's directing the protocol, and when can we say that this is in effect now and this is how it's being?
We started it with the new SVSU chair. We're starting it with the MAU. So I would assume, I'm not going to speak for Pownell or Woodford or anything, but I believe we're all going to try to follow the same thing. And it helps the superintendent, so we're all on the same page. So maybe the superintendent won't be at one of our meetings, but he'll know what that is. And we'll have the clerk if we don't have Richard Bump here, but normally everybody will be on the same page and they'll receive the minutes. And it's the minutes that seems to create a problem. And Richard knows that, so we're going to try something different. And
we're going to put the. Our minutes are actually very extensive.
Yes.
Compared to what is required by law.
Yeah.
They're very detailed. Richard does a great job on them.
Yeah.
But it takes a while, and we're finding that we're not complying with the 5-day rule of when the minutes need to be posted under law. So, as Fran said, what Richard is proposing, he's going to do a skeleton of the minutes that'll be posted hopefully within 48 hours, that will have who's present, that's what's required by law, who's present in any action that was taken by the board, any votes that the board took. So that will be posted within the 5-day compliance, and then when Richard produces the full minutes, then they'll be reposted with those minutes on. So that's the process we're putting in place, and we're happy that, you know, Richard is going to be able to help us do that. He doesn't do the minutes at every board, as Fran said, so we're working on some of the other boards on how that will work.
And I'll be honest, taking the minutes here, since I'm the first one here,
Yeah.
under this new policy, I mean, I might not be accurate. I'll understand it. I mean, it's been being recorded. Might I try to get it within that 5 days? You know, I mean,
Yeah.
usually, you know, I do my best. And I think I have understanding what I need to turn in, but I'm not sure until I turn it in.
And I think some of the things that we learn through all these processes, which is actually a good thing as we evolve, there were some people who were under the impression that because Cat TV is here and recording the meeting, and they post it and it's available on YouTube, that doesn't satisfy the requirements of the law.
Right.
So, though it's certainly helpful that that's there, it doesn't meet the requirements. So, and a lot of work from our tech office too, to make sure that these get on quickly, because there's a lot of boards and a lot of meetings, never mind just the regular board meetings, but the subcommittee meetings too, that also have to go out. So
I just have a question, because I am often really unclear about what the parents are expecting here. I mean, the principal gets a report from the Efficiency Vermont that says this is something to check into. It's not alarming. It's not. We're not. You know, the CO2 levels are not so high that we need. So the next step would be to do what they said, which would be to talk to the contractor, which would be to follow that procedure. It's not an alarming thing. They're not hiding anything.
The Vermont Department of Public Health contacted us because they wanted to know what was being done.
Yeah.
And we explained the process that we were using, that this came as a result of our inquiry. We
Right.
put the meters there to see what the air quality was as part of the roof project, and that we have an engineer on retainer who's working on the project, and they're going to do a walkthrough with a mechanical engineering contractor for putting this ventilation system in, and they were fine with it. And I don't know if you want to add to something with the Vermont.
Thank you for handling it the way you did.
I have to agree. What else can you do? You follow the procedure of what needs to be done, which was you have no alarming information, so you take it the next step, just as you've been instructed by the people over. I don't feel like anything was hidden from me.
Okay. Well, if I may, let me read this. This is a report that Jim got from Michelle Rendinger. I hope I said that right. Public Health Industrial Hygienist, Vermont Department of Health. And I'll just read a couple of sentences. The lower levels measured at the school, 2,500 ppm and lower, are undoubtedly a concern for indoor air quality, but not an immediate danger to the life or health of the students and staff. It sounds like there's already a plan in place to correct this issue by replacing the roof vents this summer. It would be my recommendation to make sure those changes do take place this summer and retest for carbon dioxide levels after construction is completed. In the meantime, efforts could be made to provide more fresh air to the building, and they got open the windows. So, and but anyway, Barry?
Well, I got sort of interested in this peripherally.
Yes.
And I wonder if anybody understands why they tested CO2 and not something else. I understand that the levels of CO2, even if they were in excess of 2,500,
Yes.
are not going to, have kids falling off their chairs. But I think it's the canary in the mine, because there are other substances in the air, and CO2 is a marker. It's what you can test.
Yeah.
But it doesn't test for VOCs. It doesn't test for formaldehyde. And formaldehyde is everywhere. And that is a toxin, a serious toxin.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying anything was done wrong. I'm just saying that in spite of what appeared in the paper 2 days ago,
Mhm.
and what this health department
Yeah,
woman said,
from the Vermont
I think
Department
they're
of Health.
missing something if they don't understand, or they don't take into consideration that the CO2 level is a marker.
Yeah.
It doesn't tell, it tells you that there's not enough fresh air coming in and not enough stagnant air going out.
Yeah.
Hopefully the vote to fix the roof units is a quick one.
That's,
Yes.
yeah, that's gonna be, that's the start.
Because the other reason they made this possible, what everyone needs to understand, and maybe you already know this, but it's worth repeating, the roof bids came in considerably less than what we were expecting. So you have the funds to pay for this mechanical ventilation system, which all buildings are experiencing this type of issues. As buildings become more energy efficient, the exchange of air is all the more important. And how the system that you currently have in this building is just exhausting air, exhausting heated air.
You can't exhaust air if the air isn't coming in.
Right, and the building, you know, as Fran said, you're replacing windows, you're adding more insulation to the roof, which got you a credit with Efficiency Vermont, but this is being proactive, putting this system in.
So, I'm sorry, you did have some questions earlier.
My name is Nancy Schuster, and I have 3 daughters here at Shaftsbury, finishing 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade. I'm also a physician in the community, and I've been practicing here for 12 years. I have a letter from Dr. Bill Talk, who couldn't make the meeting, which I'd just like to submit. But suffice to say, it echoes some of the thoughts that were in the editorial in the paper earlier this week, in that he states that while the CO2 levels need to be looked at with regards to the ventilation system, it's nothing alarming that requires immediate action per se. He has 2 kids here too, so I'm just going to submit this.
Okay, yep, right to the clerk, thank you.
There you go. You can pass that around. I think that there was a lot of messaging going out to the community that an immediate notice needed to go out to parents. Why weren't parents notified immediately of the findings in that report? And honestly, when I saw the report, I shrugged my shoulders and said, yeah, I believe that. It's an old building, old vent system. Kids breathe, they expel CO2. It's going to go up when they're in the building. And then they go outside and get fresh air, and the body adjusts. I personally think it would have been incredibly irresponsible to send out a notice to parents. You would have invoked unnecessary panic without a full understanding of what the problem is. And I think, well, policies, protocols, adherence to procedures important, it can also be very distracting in this situation, and that I feel there's some loud voices that are really trying to undermine the board and erode the trust that we have in our administration, which it saddens me, because we moved to Shaftsbury to bring our kids to the school. I personally think Jeff is doing a great job, and I appreciate the board putting the sensors in, using whatever. I'm glad we have extra money, because I know this is going to be expensive. And we'll look at the project and hopefully move forward this summer to get everything replaced. But I don't think the challenges with old buildings, dated facilities, and ventilation systems are unique to Shaftsbury.
Yeah.
So,
We are trying to be proactive. And there's sometimes maybe the board won't know of something because it's either the principal or maybe Jay that's, doing this, and they will eventually tell us what they're doing, so we have get a handle on it. Because let's face it, it's going to come here. Well, we need $50,000. Okay, what for? And we'll vote on it and take care of the problem. But anyway, I went to school here, and we graduated at the Cole Hall when it was 8 grades here, and the school's been, I'll tell you, over the years has been a good school, and it's been kept in good shape with previous boards, and it's people getting together. Well, gee, nobody wants to spend a lot of money. You don't want to go back to the taxpayer and spend a lot, but this is a different situation. It's an air quality situation. We will remedy it, and just we want to let the public know that we are looking into these things, and we're not going to do anything that's unsafe for our kids.
Thank you.
So they're all our kids. So anyway, I'm sorry, Jim. Were you all set? Or?
I'm all set.
Can I just ask one more question about,
Sure.
just reading Jim Secor's email, I'm just confused. it said it was maxed out at 2,500 ppm. Was it followed up? Was that the top reading, or was that the max reading allowed by the sensor?
Yes.
It was the max reading allowed by the sensor. Okay, thank you.
But it was not a consistent max out if you look at the.
Yeah,
the
it goes up,
chart.
and I didn't
Yeah.
know if that was just the top that it hit, or it can't read any higher than that.
Is that because the current system's on timers? Do we know? Or more kids
don't
are in a
know
room
that.
at one time?
We'd asked the representative from Efficiency Vermont if he could be here tonight in case there were specific questions, but it was short notice. He apologized that he couldn't be here, so I don't know that answer. I know it was,
We
maybe
can get
Jay
that.
could answer that.
The system that we have now is not functioning right. There's no way to bring outdoor fresh air
Right.
in, so.
It's not an air exchange.
It isn't, so
No.
you're just pulling air out, but with no return, so. But we have been proactive. I mean, 4, 5, and 6, other than Ms. Hall's class, have all new unit ventilators with the new CO sensors built into them. So, the room calls for it, it'll open up and the vents and bring fresh air in from outside, so. 4, 5, and 6 in this end of the building, other than Ms. Hall and the computer lab, all have the new CO sensors built into them. So we are working at it, it's just baby steps.
Okay. Larry, you had a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to clear up a little edge. Actually, there were only 7 days of testing, according to the graph. The meters were in place for 7 days, not 3 weeks or 2 weeks. So that was the scope of the readings that took place. And again, we have no idea of what the rest of the school contained. Nor do we have any idea of what the level was within the school because the meters were maxed out. And I wanted to address a question to Jeff. Jeff, you're quoted in the paper as saying you contacted Michelle Reddington. Can you tell me when you did that, please?
I did not do that when the paper said that was a misquote. I said I had been in contact with her. I didn't say
You've been in contact?
Yes, that's what I told Derek.
And the flow of that contact was her to you?
No, Jeff to her.
Jeff to me. Yeah, me to her. I contacted her.
You contacted her?
Yes.
She contacted me.
She contacted
I
you
contacted Jeff. Jeff contacted me.
I asked for your contact information.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Holly?
This mirrors a situation we just went through, so I need to express myself. Given the document, it alarmed me. Didn't have insurance that safety and well-being for all students and staff was in place. Made correct contacts to the superintendent, Vermont Department of Health, VOSHA. I will not argue the CO2 levels, but I do need confirmation if we are complying with the Department of Labor's request for compliance by June 10th.
So we received a letter on Friday that there was an anonymous complaint made to the Department of Labor that there was an alleged hazardous workplace environment here at Shaftsbury Elementary School. So we are in compliance. We're required to post the letter from the Department of Labor and submit to them our plan of action that we are taking to correct the conditions outlined in the letter. The letter has been posted. It has been given to the union representation as required by the letter, and we will, if they haven't already received it, what our plan of action is, I know they have verbally, they will have it by Friday, which is what's been outlined tonight. The same thing that we gave to the Department of Public Health, because they received an anonymous complaint that we also had to address to the Department of Public Health.
And do you have any information from the Department of Health?
Mr. Kinney read their
That's good.
response to me
I
tonight.
can give you a copy of that.
Because the Department of Health has some information on carbon dioxide at different levels. And it can be concerning. 1,000 to 2,000 associate with complaints of drowsiness and poor air, which
Are we talking about, sorry,
Yeah.
are we talking about carbon dioxide
Mhm.
or CO2?
carbon dioxide.
That is CO2.
This is from the Wisconsin Department of Health Services, which is the head of the Department of Health. 2,000 to 5,000 level associates with headaches, sleepiness, and stagnant, stale, stuffy air, poor concentration, loss of appetite, increased heart rate, and slight nausea may also be present. There, I won't argue about the CO2 level, but it is a concern.
But you also have
And-
to remember that it's, OSHA recommends 5,000 parts per
And that's
meter
for adults.
in a 40-hour week. But I mean, the question is, we have a concern. Let's
Mhm.
not fight about the numbers.
No?
Let's talk about how to fix this problem and move forward.
And
I
right
think
now,
There's
right
been
now,
a
you
concern, and as soon as it was
you
brought
got
to
the
the
windows
attention of the
open.
administration.
So everything changes when
Yeah.
the windows are
They're
open.
taking care of it.
That's
I mean,
moving
That's-
forward.
That's all moot because the
Mhm.
windows are
I
open.
mean, if this is middle of December, I would like to see us move quicker, but
Yeah.
it's April, windows are open.
We'll get
We're not gonna
there.
get true numbers till
Last
next-
day of school is Friday, and we hope to correct this problem this summer.
Yep.
and we'll check it next year.
Larry?
In the course of our continuing investigation, we will be looking at the overall air quality within the school, correct? I just wanted to touch on what Barry said. I think everybody in this area is aware of what happened at the Vermont State offices. That there was an air quality condition there.
The mold and
that
everything,
actually
yeah.
led to tearing the building down and building a new one.
Yeah.
And we certainly want to prevent that. And mold is one of the culprits that can contribute to a high level of CO2 within your structure, okay? So I'm concerned that we measure as much as we possibly can for a variety of reasons.
And as we know that in buildings, the number one way mold enters a building this type is not maintaining your roof system,
Yeah.
which this project is also doing, new insulation, which is also where most mold gets trapped in a roof system. So I'm pretty confident that, we're being aggressive in making sure that that problem isn't,
Well, that's the
isn't
number one
here.
goal.
Yeah.
And I would just like to comment that I've seen times at the meetings when it's hard to pass hiring someone for 30 hours to do cleaning due to finances. So let's remember this conversation when we're talking about passing this through quickly, that the safety of our children, so the board needs to pass the financial ability to do this so that we can take care of the children and make that happen quickly. It shouldn't be a huge, we all agree, we want the air to be high quality.
Absolutely.
And can I just add,
Okay.
from the Department of Health, they have an envision promoting, speaking of just those matters, cleaning, all this adds to the CO2 levels. I'm not saying that is
Okay.
very important, very
Okay.
important.
Okay. And I guess we're done. All right, principals report.
You strike the math position because obviously we passed the nomination form for the new teacher.
Yep.
The custodial position, we only got 2 applicants for the custodial position. Jay and I interviewed recently. Wouldn't have time to get a nom form in for this meeting. I can probably get a nom form ready for next week if the board wants to do an emergency meeting, just start to get that person hired
Well,
and start for July 1st if possible.
Let me know,
Okay.
and then we'll
Okay.
call a meeting.
I'll do that. Big Truck Night was May 20th. Huge success. I think it was one of our biggest, if not our biggest year we've had. The weather was beautiful. I think that definitely added to it. Plus we started advertising in Manchester and Bennington and Arlington, and we had a number of people from out of Shaftsbury to come. I think we had 12 trucks, big ladder truck from the Bennington Fire Department. Guesstimate right now, my treasurer from the PTO said it was roughly $3,000 we made from that event. I want to thank all the parents and all the teachers that helped out during that evening. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of time planning for it, and a number of parents and teachers spent the whole evening helping set up to tear down and everything in between. So I want to thank everybody for that. That was very helpful. Our 5th, 6th grade track meet was June 1st. Shaftsbury did very well. We came home with a stack of ribbons like this, which is always good to see. And we had I think we had our highest participation rate we've ever had in the track meet for 5th and 6th graders. And from all accounts I've heard from Mr. Fifield who ran it, our PE teacher who ran it, and Ms. Zimianic who helped out, the kids were excellent, they behaved well, and everybody had a great time. So I want to thank Mr. Fifield especially for helping organize that and running that event. A couple of things I want to add to my report. Hannaford Helps Schools is a fundraiser that most schools are part of. parents go, they buy certain products, a certain amount of the money goes into Shaftsbury's account. I think twice a year we get a check from them saying, okay, here's what your school has earned so far. So we got our check, I think, last month for a couple $100, which is always nice to have. But they also have an incentive program or something extra where they look at participation throughout the schools throughout a region. And this year, Shaftsbury had the highest participation rate, and we got an additional $1,000 from Hannaford.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good.
So that was a nice surprise. Tim Cahill, I want to thank him publicly. I also have a letter sent to him. He's the general manager of the local Hannaford. He came by and gave us the check and said congratulations. He says I always go to Hoosick Falls or MAU in this area. A small school like this, who wins it never happens. So he was pretty impressed. And so I want to thank Hannaford and all the parents that shop there and keep doing it. I'm not sure what the products are, but keep buying them if you could. That's a big boost. That's a big boost for the PTO going into next year. Another $1,000 in our account. And last but not least, yesterday was a big day for Shaftsbury. With all the events going on this week, with the last week of school, we decided to have our field day, our family picnic, and our graduation all in one day, which seems to work out well. Field day was another huge success. Again, thank you to Chris Fifield, his very first field day with us. And he made things a little different, but it was a huge success. Parents and kids alike had a great time, and it was well run. Everybody was busy the whole 2.5 hours we were doing it. And again, thank you to the parents that came, that helped out and ran events. We could not have done that without you. But I think you guys enjoyed it as much as the kids did, including the big water slide that we got this year. That was a big hit. And the family picnic was obviously right after that. That went well. And we had our graduation last night for our 6th graders. And that went well up until the technology decided to give us a hard time. And that was no fault of anybody, but just not knowing something at the time. But that was for the PowerPoint presentation. But the ceremony itself, the kids did a great job, and we graduated, I think, 40-something students this year. Off to the middle school next year. They're on a big trip today to Howe Caverns. And other than that, I want to thank, there's a group of parents that work on that every year, the 6th grade parents. Jen Scoggins did a lot of work when it came to the yearbook and the presentation that was shown last night. So I want to thank her personally for that help. That's all I have for him.
Thank you.
Fran?
Yep, go ahead.
I brought it up before, since we're cutting down the custodial position hours. Have we thought about bringing back the crossing guard so they don't have to go out in that, and you'll be able to spend more time here in the building?
We haven't had that conversation. We can. It's something that we can have. So
Because it would two things. It would create more time for the custodials, and it would free up, so they would have free up time and you had more coverage.
We'll have that discussion.
And save money.
Jeff comes to me with the
Custodial position.
Custodial position, so we can do that.
Okay.
And
Could I-
yes.
I was just wondering, the track, Jeff, is it still all the schools?
It is. The whole, I'm sorry.
Nice.
Yeah, it's the whole district.
Yeah.
Every 5th and 6th grader,
Nice.
not
They've
every
been-
5th and 6th grader, but every
That's-
school is invited.
That's a good event.
Yes,
They
it is.
They have a
Going
great
on
time.
since I was a kid.
I know.
Yeah.
I-
It's in honor of Steve Zimianik. He was my
accept
track
these?
coach. He was my
Yep.
cross country coach.
Yep.
He was a long time track and cross country coach at the high school.
The kids love it. It's
Yeah,
it's a
they
good
do.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. Good. At our last meeting in April, we had from the People's United Bank to do a signer. Well, we did this once before with the treasurer. That person basically never served, he quit. So we have to do the same thing again. And I can sign this tomorrow at Central, and I can have it notarized. And so we need a motion to have, for me, the board chair, to sign this business deposit account certified resolutions form. And is that all I have to?
That's the same thing we had before, except it's a different person.
Yes, it's gonna be, we gotta redo
Yeah.
it, so.
So
that's-
moved.
You gotta come
all
in
right.
and do it in front of a notary at Central.
Right, and I'll do that. And there's a second?
Mhm.
Jeff, okay. All in favor of that motion? Unanimous, thank you. I will do that, being there tomorrow, I'll do that. Our next regular Shaftsbury meeting, unless I have a special meeting, will be August 10th. It does say here on the agenda, no July meeting is scheduled, but that doesn't mean.
We just had an emergency one that we need next week. for his-
Yeah,
Right,
that's what we.
so,
Yeah.
anyway. So there you have it. You got your budget status reports in there and the SVSU student enrollment enclosed. Barry,
Just a question.
yes.
How many people here belong to the PTO?
Well, my wife does, and me, by default.
That qualifies you.
Okay.
Does this board need to take a vote to authorize you to sign
Yes.
things in the summer, don't we?
Yeah, we
The
just
board
did that.
takes it.
Yeah,
That was just for that, but don't they authorize you to
yeah, it's usually the board
Warrants.
chair, the
Chair.
vice chair, and the clerk
sign the warrant?
to sign warrants.
You
So
need
we, all right, we probably need an official vote on that,
So you
so,
can sign the July warrants.
right.
So
So
move.
So,
Ed made it and
a second.
Holly already seconded.
For the
And-
warrants, right?
Yes,
warrant.
yeah.
Warrants.
It would be the chair,
For
vice
to
chair, and/or the clerk, whoever's available. If-
Yeah.
I also have warrants tonight that you need to sign before you
Oh,
leave.
yep. So all in favor of that motion? Unanimous. Thank you. Appreciate it. And motion to adjourn. Oh, go
It's
ahead.
o-
You got-
No, it's okay.
No, go
I'll-
ahead.
Well,
Now's your time.
I just was wondering, I wanted to catch Kate, but it didn't, and, I just had the special education, population.
Yep.
We've moved up 12. I was gonna ask her if it was the kids coming in, or if, but maybe,
That might be more directed towards Wendy, but,
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah. But we can, try and get an answer for you and get that back to you.
Okay.
So you wanna know what the increase
I
is?
just, well, and I also, we had a teacher, I know that is leaving for, I didn't know what was happening there with, the special education.
It's an SVSU issue as a special ed teacher.
It's,
Yeah, the
we
SU.
don't talk about it as it's in our school.
Well, I suppose you could.
Well, I was just
But you will,
wondering
you
what
will
was.
vote on it at
I
an
was
SU
just
meeting.
wondering if that was
Yeah.
an open position, or if that was something that was gonna,
It's an SVSU
so ask
position, so
SVSU.
SVSU has
Okay.
that, yeah. they
All
have
right.
to-
Yeah.
and you
That's
guys
just
can't-
the way it works.
Okay,
Okay,
so ask Wendy, okay.
so I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Ed seconded. All in favor? Aye, unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, people.
Don't leave without signing that.